Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and on today's Work in Progress Wednesday, we have 3 former TNA stars. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today we've got 3 former TNA wrestlers, and we've got 3 current AEW wrestlers. At least as of recording, these guys are still in AEW. We've got Jay Lethal, Sonjay Dutt, and Christoper Daniels. And I've wanted to make all of these for quite a while. Jay Lethal has been very high on my list of figures to make. I have made many orders from Hederation with the idea in mind that I'd eventually get a Jay Lethal, and really just thinking of a formula for him has probably made me wait the longest as far as what I was going to do. And I finally kind of came to a point where I was happy with what I was piecing together. So we'll just start with him. We've got, obviously, he's on a rock body. We don't have a lot of torsos in this skin tone. I have seen people use the Rock Ultimate Edition torso, which is like a little bit smaller. I just didn't have, it was harder to get my hands on that. So I'm happy using this one. It's that same size as Stone Cold, which might be a little bit big for Jay Lethal. But I think it looks good. And then the legs too. So I didn't want to use real skinny legs for him, but the rock thighs are pretty big. So what I ended up doing was taking some Macho Man calves that are a little bit shorter because they're made for those long boots. And then I took some kick pads that have the part of the kick pad that normally has like the upper articulation. I'm trying to see if I don't have anyone near me that does, so I don't have a good example. But it's the way they did Ken Shamrock. So they took off that upper part of the kick pad to make him a little bit shorter, so he is in scale there. And then, like I said, the head's from Hederation, and the arms are actually from a Legends D'Lo Brown figure. And then the Sonjay Dutt, obviously, is an AJ Styles body. And I looked at a few pictures. I could have probably gone with, I think you could argue, this tan skin tone, or the like Eddie Guerrero. No, they changed Eddie Guerrero's skin tone. The Latino skin tone that they use a lot, which they have been doing a better job. I'm pretty sure they did not do that with all the LWO figures, which I appreciated. But with him, I need to look up some more pictures. The attire is really cool. It's going to be an all red attire with some white and some gold. And it's going to be the same thing as the, I think it was the Toy Biz TNA figure of him. And admittedly, the head sculpt won't be accurate as far as his hair goes. The likeness, I think, looks really good, but he had a little bit more hair, but he was also balding when I looked at the few pictures I could look up for that attire. So it'll be a little bit off. I think this is more like a modern kind of look for him, but I'm okay with that. I think the attire's gonna look really cool. And then the Christoper Daniels I've had prepared to do for a really long time, and just didn't know, like, I wasn't gonna just do a video of Christoper Daniels by himself, but I had to figure out what I was gonna do for a formula too. So the head, obviously, you can see I painted the eyes and the lips, the skin tone and everything. So I only have to paint literally just paint the eyes. And then we use a Daniel Bryan torso. And then these are the Build-A-Figure legs. They're shorter, and I just think that mold looks a lot better, and it keeps him in scale. So he's gonna have that pants look instead of his old like biker shorts TNA look. But this is going to kind of work for me for AEW, TNA. It'll match the Kazarian and the Scorpio Sky, really, that we got. So I'm really excited to get to these. Like I said, I've wanted to do them for a while, and it was just kind of a matter of where I was going to squeeze them in and what attires and formulas and everything. So let's go.
Okay, I'm going to get started with Jay Lethal first. So, painting up the head sculpt here, which is going to be the majority of the work. The decals aren't going to be too difficult. They're relatively small. I'm going to come in. I use my micro pen, Micron pen, and you can get those at a lot of places. Walmart even has them now. But I'll use that for facial hair and eyelashes. It makes life a lot easier. With these decals, they curve around the trunks a little bit, but since they don't have to cover a large area, it was really easy with those. And that that was it for Jay Lethal. Same with Christoper Daniels. The head sculpt was mostly painted already. The decals are relatively simple. These are all pretty basic customs. It was just a matter of getting the formulas and everything correct for them. Sonjay is where we're going to have the most work. So we've got to paint up the kick pads, and I'm going to paint everything white first, and then I'll use a pencil to kind of fix things up where they need to be fixed up. His skin tone, so I have started priming them more and then painting skin tone. This instance, I just painted the skin tone over, and I'll do a few layers. So with the white here, I'll get these on, and then the bottom of them is going to be red, but I'll do that after I've got all the decals and everything sealed. These ones, the gold goes on first, and then I've got a black outline kind of that's going to go over them to give it the look that it needs. And for the paint, I do just use exclusively Vallejo. I know people talk about Citadel as well, but I'm working with Vallejo right now. I'm really happy with that. So maybe I'll get around to Citadel, but for the time being, Vallejo is just everything I need right now. For decals, it's always the same process. Even when I use the ghost white ones, like this has an outline to put over. It's always, I use my micro set, micro sole, then I hit it with the hair dryer to get it to stick a little bit better, and then I just dab it with I just have a dishwashing sponge that I'll dab it with a little bit to get it to be where it needs to be. So for my wash here, I took a black and then just put a bunch of water with it so that it was very, very light. That's how I did the beard and a little bit of fade on the head there. And then the eyes, and we're all done here.
All right, so here we are, our full trio of TNA, some OG TNA guys, obviously Daniels, Sonjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal, but these are all guys that I'd had on my list for a long time. I had Toy Biz versions of all three of them, I think. Maybe I didn't have Sonjay back in the day, but I definitely had a Christoper Daniels in the shorter trunks look. I had the Jay Lethal in a white and orange attire, I think. But I always wanted Black Machismo, which I do have the Jazzwares figure. I do, that's one I thought they did a really good job on. Got a little bit lazy. The cloth goods make up for a lot of it, but talking about my figures here that we've got. So the Daniels, even though it was really simple, there really wasn't much to it. I think it worked out really well. The pants mold, I think, is perfect for Daniels. I did misplace the tattoo that he has on his chest. I have to find the decal, but the other decals were very, very simple. They're smaller and they don't really, they just kind of sit flat on those pants specifically. So those are pretty easy. Even the knee one wasn't too bad because the part right here is actually pretty big. And then Sonjay Dutt there, it just took me a while to get around to finishing everything up. I wanted to make sure I painted the head well, and at some point it looks like the right ear got chipped a little bit, so I'll repaint that, but everything else I was really happy with. I did do a little bit of a wash on the top of his head. I don't know if you can tell very well just in the video, but I did a wash on his head a little bit to kind of give him that balding look. And then the beard and face, I just think turned out really well. That's a really nice head sculpt, I think, from Hederation. And then the attire itself was actually pretty easy. So I, just really focused on making sure it was clean where it needed to be. And then the Jay Lethal, the torso itself is pretty beat up, so I may come back around, swap that out. I do have some paints coming from Cujo Aramo.
I'm sure I'm messing up something there in the pronunciation, but if you're in the wrestling figure groups, he's been making batches of paint, batches of skin tones to sell to people, and I went ahead and got one of those. Clarky Collector, Clarky Customs now. Just had showed me some stuff he'd done with that paint, and it looked fantastic. So I've got my own coming, but I might go back, repaint a different torso for Jay Lethal, since I'll have that at my availability there. But again, for him, attire wise, all these attires weren't too difficult to put together. It really was a matter of just finding the right formula and stuff for these guys, and I think these head sculpts are all really nice. They're all from Hederation. I think maybe the Christoper Daniels one could be a little bit smaller, but the Jay Lethal one and the Sonjay Dutt I think are spot on. I really like the expression with the Jay Lethal as well as the Sonjay. And the Daniels, it's just, it's always hard for me, like with bald guys. You can only do so much when you don't have hair or facial hair or anything. But all in all, I'm really happy with these three. And I'm just going to keep adding more to the TNA shelf. So the Sonjay, kind of that older look for him. But Jay Lethal and Christoper Daniels, honestly, I think kind of more like ROH and then AEW. But nonetheless, I really, really like these. Hopefully you guys appreciate them too. But we've got a lot coming on Work in Progress Wednesday. Obviously, if you watch the collection tour on Monday, you'll see that. But a lot of stuff I'm excited about, and hopefully you share that as well. But that is going to be everything for today's Work in Progress Wednesday. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, and remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure Dude